What kind of man dares to challenge a king, confront false gods, and call fire from heaven only to then run for his life? This is the story of Elijah, one of the most mysterious and powerful figures in the Bible. He's a prophet with no recorded birth, no genealogy, and no known death. A man who appeared suddenly, shook an entire nation, and then vanished into heaven. In this documentary, we'll explore the story of Elijah in the Bible, his showdown with the prophets of Baal, the dramatic events on Mount Carmel, his conflict with Jezebel, his relationship with Elisha, and why Elijah remains one of the most compelling prophets in biblical history. Elijah enters the biblical narrative without any warning. No background, no family line, no explanation. He simply appears before King Ahab and declares, "As the Lord God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall be neither dew nor rain except by my word." This wasn't just a weather forecast. It was a direct confrontation against Baal, the Canaanite god believed to control rain and fertility. By declaring a drought, Elijah wasn't just predicting a climate crisis, he was declaring war on a false god and the entire religious system propping up a corrupt monarchy. To understand the stakes, you have to understand the power couple of the time, King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. While Ahab officially ruled Israel, it was Jezebel who truly held the power. She imported Baal worship into Israel on a massive scale, systematically hunted down and killed God's prophets, and replaced spiritual truth with a politically convenient religion. Elijah stood alone against a corrupt king, a violent queen, and an entire nation that was drifting into idolatry. This is the real tension in the story of Elijah the prophet, one man, seemingly powerless, standing against a deeply entrenched and corrupt system. After declaring the drought, Elijah disappears. God hides him, first by a brook where he's fed by ravens, completely dependent on daily provision. Later, he lives with a widow in a foreign land, where her last bit of flour and oil miraculously never runs out. This period of hiding reveals something crucial about his journey. Elijah's immense public power was forged in private obedience and quiet trust. Before fire would fall from heaven for all to see, Elijah had to learn to depend on God in the unseen, day-to-day moments of survival. His faith was being tempered in isolation, preparing him for the ultimate confrontation that was to come. And that brings us to the most famous moment in the story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal, the showdown on Mount Carmel. It's the ultimate test of faith, broadcast live for an entire nation. Picture the scene: one man, Elijah, versus 450 prophets of Baal and another 400 prophets of Asherah. There are two altars, but only one true God. The challenge is simple: the God who answers with fire is the real God. The prophets of Baal go first. They cry out to their God, they dance, they chant, they even cut themselves in a frenzy. But for hours, nothing happens. Silence. Then, Elijah steps forward. He calmly repairs the Lord's altar, which had been torn down. He digs a trench around it. And then he does something truly audacious. He orders them to douse the altar with water, not once, not twice, but 3 times, until the water fills the trench. There's no room for tricks or doubt. He then prays a simple, powerful prayer. Instantly, fire falls from heaven. It consumes the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and even the water in the trench. The people, witnessing this incredible display of power, fall on their faces and cry out, "The Lord, He is God." This wasn't just a spectacle, it was a divine judgment on false worship. But victory doesn't bring peace. The moment the news reaches Queen Jezebel, she sends a chilling message to Elijah: "By this time tomorrow, you will be dead." And shockingly, the prophet who just faced down 850 false prophets and called fire from heaven runs. The man who faced fire now faces fear. This is a critical and deeply human moment in the story of Elijah and Jezebel. It teaches us that spiritual victories do not make us immune to emotional exhaustion or burnout. Elijah collapses under a tree in the wilderness and, in his despair, asks God to let him die. But God doesn't rebuke Elijah for his fear or despair. Instead, he meets him with compassion. An angel comes to him, not with a lecture, but with food and water. God lets him sleep, recover, and then leads him on a journey to Mount Horeb, the same mountain where Moses received the law. And there, God reveals himself to Elijah, but not in the way you might expect. Not in the powerful wind, not in the earthquake, and not in the fire. God speaks to Elijah in a still, small voice, a gentle whisper. Elijah learns a profound lesson. God's presence isn't only found in dramatic displays of power, but also in the quiet, intimate moments of connection. Restored and recommissioned, Elijah is given a new task to anoint his successor, a man named Elisha. Elisha becomes his devoted apprentice, following him relentlessly. He refuses to leave Elijah's side, knowing his master's time on earth is short. The climax of their story comes when a chariot of fire with horses of fire appears and sweeps Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind. As he ascends, his mantle, his cloak, symbolizing his prophetic authority, falls to the ground. Elisha picks it up. He strikes the Jordan River with it, just as Elijah had done, and the waters part. The story of Elijah and Elisha shows that God's work doesn't end with one person. His power is transferred from one generation to the next. So, why does the story of Elijah still matter today? Elijah never experienced a natural death. He ascended directly into heaven. Centuries later, he appears again, standing alongside Moses during the transfiguration of Jesus. Elijah's life represents incredible courage against corruption, unwavering faith under immense pressure, and a powerful reminder that even the greatest prophets are still human. The story of Elijah is not about being a perfect, fearless hero. It's about the power of obedience, even in what seem like impossible moments, and the profound grace of a God who meets us not just in the fire, but in the whisper. Thank you for watching.